This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined with Johnny Nelson, MBE. We've just seen Adam Azim stop Frank Petitjean. Very, very impressive his performance out there.
Completely impressed with him. I think he controlled every aspect of the fight. He beat the ambition out of Petitjean. You saw it after 6 rounds, Petitjean. You knew that same focus, that desire, that steady intention that he's had all week long. You know, this man trained hard for this, but Adam answered every question he thought he could break in, and Petitjean eventually got to a point where it was more of a survival tactic rather than a mission to beat the guy in front of him. And that's why I personally think he was waiting for the second half for Adam to probably get tired, start to be a bit more flat-footed and get the shots in. He didn't take into account Adam's speed and his power, but his control, because I think the pace settled down a lot more as the rounds rolled on. I think Adam's learned that from the last 2 fights that he went 10 rounds in, so he did really well.
Obviously, a big win today, claiming the European belt, that gets him in, high up in the rankings. How far off do you feel like pushing on to 2024? He could be around them Fringe world level.
I think the European circuit is going to be a distant memory in about a year and a half. I think he'll probably defend it 1 or 2 times, and then in doing that, then he'll be starting to hunt down the bigger circuit in the world. I think Adam is that fighter, and he's still got a lot to learn, and I'm quite sure when he gets hurt, because it will happen when he gets wet, it's how he deals with that, and that will tell us about the next stage of his career. Because a lot of fighters, when they get hit, when they get hurt, they lose it completely and they fall to pieces. I look at something like Amir Khan. Amir Khan, hand speed was terrific. His vulnerability was there when he got hit and got hurt. He usually got taken out. I think Adam hits a lot harder than Amir Khan. He's as fast as Amir Khan, but I think his stability when it comes to thinking brain over brawn, that's where they differ. I think Adam will be. He's got good people in his corner where they'll advise him rightly.
Absolutely, it's quite late here, so we'll just run through the topics. This week we were dealt with a big shock to a lot of boxing fans, in a positive way. Not only did we see a massive card on 23rd of December, we see Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, all on the table. Is it sort of crazy to see that we're seeing this and we never thought we would?
It was nice to see. One thing as an ex-fighter and as a fan, I like to see is fighters making money, fighters getting paid. And that's what that was all about. You saw fighters on the bill, you thought, yes, at last. And then all those 12 promoters from around the world sat in one room to basically having to do business together. Because I'm quite sure most of these guys wouldn't have been there if they didn't have to be there. They had to be there because their fighters are now saying, I want a piece of this action. And if you're going to represent me, you're going to get your ass there and get involved. And so you've got to give it to the backers, His Majesty, and Spencer Brown for actually saying, you know what, boys, I'm showing no bias to anybody. There's a pot of gold here, come and get involved. There's no favourites here, there's no favourites there. This is what we're doing. And so they had to step up to the plate. The amount of egos that were in that room is mad, but they had to step up to the plate. And so as a fan, as a fight fan, now you're thinking, yep, I'm having some of this.
Obviously, Anthony Joshua fighting Otto Wallin. Most people would want him against Deontay Wilder, but one thing that a lot of people are focusing attention to is this fight is obviously teaming up with Ben Davison, third trainer in I think 4 or 5 fights. Where do you think AJ is now at his career, where switching trainers, a lot of different behaviour now?
I don't know what goes on inside the head or inside the camp of Anthony Joshua. I'm a fighter that doesn't. When a fight keeps chopping and changing his trains at this point in his career, to me it don't tell me nothing, because AJ says he's not the finished article. He's still got a lot to learn. How are you going to learn if you're constantly changing trainers and not staying with one person? You can't learn everything you need to learn with one person after one fight. And so for AJ, I think now, what's his mindset? His mindset can be, you know what? I've got Ben Davies here. I'll do what I've got to do with him. I'm going to make sure I'm going to stay at home. He's comfortable. Or maybe he thinks Wallin is not a big enough a threat to get the big guns in. And that's why he's got Ben Davies in. In reality, don't stop making a mistake you did when you looked at Ruiz and thought it's a done deal. You need to pull yourself back, train like a potential champion, train like a fighter that needs to tick every single box, because if you start cutting corners, it will show at the worst time.
with this 23rd of December card, a lot of focus on the attention is one man coming back to big time boxing, Jarrell Miller, since his suspension for failing numerous drugs against Anthony Joshua. Does it send out a wrong message that he's on this card and back in world level boxing?
Well, let's see if you can get past the finishing line this time. VADA testing has been introduced, and if they do their job right and the fighters behave themselves, we will see Jarrell Miller in the mix. And like it or not, whenever his name's mentioned, failed drug test is going to be mentioned alongside of it. So probably never get the respect that he really wants, which is why he didn't mind being the villain in the room. He was the loudest in the room. The most disrespectful to the other fighters in the room, because he knows he's lost respect by a lot of fighters because of him getting busted so many times. And so for Jarrell Miller, let's just wait to see if he gets past it, gets through the finishing line to the fight.
Absolutely. Just a last one from me. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, February the 17th. Excited for this, and especially when it comes off, we look at the Ngannou fight, adds even more excitement, do you feel like?
I'm excited for it, and I think we got a bit of clickbait when I was basically saying Tyson Fury's legs must have gone, if you were to believe what he said. I stick by that. No matter what John Fury says, no matter what anybody in the team says, yeah, I stick by it. There's no way in a million years Tyson Fury prepared how he should have prepared, mentally as well as physically, and performed like that. And if he performed like that and he prepared right, his legs have gone. And so admit one. Or want us to believe one. He don't give a shit. But you're asking me a question, I'm giving my opinion. I expect Tyson Fury to be a completely different animal against Alexander Usyk, because he knows he's got to tick every single goddamn box. He's got to make sure he does it right, because he cannot fight like that against Alexander Usyk, because he'll get knocked out, and he knows he can't.
Absolutely. Johnny Nelson, MBE, thank you for taking time to speak to me. Appreciate it. Top man, mate. Thank you.